Hello, everyone. We are live.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I have my coffee, but not nearly as important as being with Daniel Horine of Pop Fly Pop Shop. Say hello, Daniel.
Hey, folks.
And of course, Mr. Paul Molitor, 7-time All-Star, seventh longest MLB hit streak of all time, 4-time Silver Slugger, World Series MVP, along with Ichiro, the only modern-day players who have 3,000 hits, hit over 300 and 500 stolen bases. Hall of Famer Paul Molitor. Can you say hello?
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, whatever the case may be. And I appreciate the intro, and I hope everybody out there is doing well.
Yes, I echo that. If you are new to this, maybe you're a Paul Molitor fan and you're like, what the heck is Pop Fly Pop Shop? Well, it is a weekly drop where on Sundays, Daniel does a comic book style art. And then they are only available for 1 week. And in this case, like with Paul Molitor, you can buy it and have him autograph it. Daniel, can you show what that print is so everyone can get a visual? This is designed and done by Daniel Horine here. And this is obviously Paul Molitor, the Igniter. You have until Sunday to buy this, and it is retired forever. There is an autograph option. And so, Paul Molitor, what was the first kind of interaction you had with Popfly? And when you saw this picture of you, like,
Sure.
That can't be what you expected to be done.
Well, I've been told my career was a little bit comical at times, but it's nice to see just Daniel's tremendous artwork. You know, I was exposed to the whole idea. A good friend of mine is a marketing agent out in San Diego by the name of John Boggs, and somehow we made the contact, and when you guys asked me to get involved, I thought it was pretty cool. I think the piece is awesome. I always joke that people say, what do you think about the nickname the Igniter? I said it wasn't really a nickname, it was more of a label. It wasn't like I'd walk into a room and everyone would go, hey, the Igniter's here. That kind of stuff just didn't happen. But to have that label as a baseball player, especially if you're a top of the lineup guy, that's pretty good.
Awesome. And in fact, everyone get your questions in, and Daniel will pick a question that will be addressed to Paul Molitor. Did you ever have experience with comics as a kid, Paul Molitor? Like, did you read any books?
Honestly and transparently, I really didn't. I grew up in a household. I had 7 siblings, and we just didn't have a lot of time to do those kind of fun things. And, they never got passed down from my dad or anything like that. It was never really a family thing. So my time in terms of connection to comic books and those type of things are pretty limited.
Now, if you were in a comic universe, would you be a hero or a villain? Because on this cover, you kind of look like a villain to me. I got to be honest.
I'd have to agree with that. I kind of liked it because it kind of brings out the dark side a little bit. But I think overall, if I had a choice, I think the hero role would be pretty good in any type of comic book genre.
Now, can you pull it up again, Daniel? What's he doing here? Is he about to blow up a pitcher's ERA or what?
I think so. As I was thinking about this, this has been in my mind for months. Doing Paul you in this way. The way I see it, he's the Brewers are in trouble, so he's about to use his bat to ignite maybe a late inning rally and save the Brewers. So he maybe is a hero to the Brewers, maybe not so much for the visiting team.
Well, I'd like to add that, in seeing it for the first time not all that long ago, I thought it was an intriguing piece, as all of yours are, Daniel, but just a little nuances. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that rope quite yet, but I just thought it had a lot of things. And the other thing I like about your pieces are the positive messages that you display.
Thank you.
Well, Brewers fans got to be over their heads excited. We had Robin Yount a couple weeks ago and Paul Molitor this week. A question that came up with Robin Yount, Paul Molitor, I'd love to hear your reaction, is that early Brewers team, you have 2 future Hall of Famers, both shortstops at the time. I mean, looking back, what was that like experiencing that?
Well, it's a long time ago. We're coming up on our 40th year anniversary of our World Series appearance in '82, which is a little bit humbling in itself. But I give Robin a lot of credit. We're about the same age. He's a little bit older than me, but by the time I got to Milwaukee, he had already been playing 4 years. So he took me under his wing, and now we've had a 4-decade friendship. But if it wasn't for Robin's injuries, my first spring training, I would have been stuck in AAA for another year. So we're kind of interlinked in that way. But, it wasn't only, Robin and I, the Hall of Famers, we had Don Sutton and Raleigh Fingers and, just quite a group of players there that we never quite got over the hump. But, those memories are pretty spectacular from those early years in Milwaukee.
Well, he had a great, obviously, run with Milwaukee there, which Daniel displayed so well. Transition out of there and, went off to the Blue Jays and immediately not just won a World Series ring, but you were the MVP. You played some first base to make sure you got those at-bats coming in. Right. Was that like a good statement for you to tell the Brewers, like, hey, you let me go a little too early there?
A quick add-on to my last answer. How could I forget Ted Simmons going in last year in the Hall of Fame? So that makes 5, right? But when I transitioned to Toronto, I was like 36, 37 years old, and I didn't really know how much I had left. I thought I still could play a little bit. I never really took a lot of solace or revenge on the fact that I went up there and was able to be a part of a world championship team. But Toronto was a great experience. It was a beautiful city, and some more Hall of Famers up there. And we ended up defending their championship that they had won the year before in '92. And although it was a shorter chapter, 3 years compared to the 15 in Milwaukee, it still provided great memories and really my only world championship experience.
Daniel, if you could show the cover again, notice the little nod to your Canada years. He has the Canada price up there in the corner. I thought that was a nice touch.
Nice little touch.
Yeah. Paul Molitor, as I was looking over your career, what I was just blown away by is just how consistent you were over 300 every step of the way in any circumstance. I mean, obviously your lifetime average is over 300, but your home away splits, your first half, second half, and here's your monthly averages for your career for the baseball calendar: 311, 301, 311, 305, 307, 303. Your home is splits 317, away 296. Like, no circumstance got you off your game. Is that something, like, how did you have such consistency?
I to be honest with you, I appreciate you pointing that out. I think that any player strives for consistency. You're probably a little bit more prone as a younger player to have the peaks and valleys just because you're still kind of questioning whether you belong. But over time, if you're going to be a guy that can be counted upon and, not get rattled by postseason pressure or time of the year or body fatigue or whatever the case might be, I think we all strive for that. And, just happy to say that I was one of those guys where the numbers kind of bear that out.
Now, you got manager of the year with the Twins. Was that a frustrating part of being a manager of, like, why can't you guys just all hit 315?
I got to manage my hometown team, the Twins. It was a tremendous experience. The manager of the year thing, I think it's one of those little bit overrated awards. Not that I'm not really happy to have one in my house, but you're a little bit at the whim of how your team performs. Obviously, you try to find ways to motivate and connect to your players. But it was only a year after that I got fired, so it tells you that it's a little bit fickle. But I really enjoyed the challenge of it. I was disappointed that we didn't get a little bit farther in our goals of being a postseason team and being a World Series team. But really enjoyed the experience of having a chance to run a club for 4 years.
Back at your hometown, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Daniel, can you show the print again? So again, these are only available until Sunday. And I mean, there's an option you can get the Hall of Famer Paul Molitor to sign your copy. You don't need to wait 4 hours at a convention and pay whatever their fee is on top of, the player's fee. Just get this by Monday. It will be retired forever. I'm going to bookend mine with the Robin Yount one. If we could go back to your transition to Toronto, Paul Molitor, what was it like for you transitioning to full-time DH? Was that something you embraced? Were you resistant to it? How did you have to mentally adjust?
Yeah, I love playing defensive baseball. I got moved around during my time in Milwaukee, short, second. I played third for a long time, got a little bit of outfield experience. But I had injury issues, man, and I couldn't deny the fact that the whole logic of me lessening my chances of getting hurt by just playing offensive baseball. So, to be honest with you, I was hoping to be one of those players that played a long time in the same city and never had to move on in terms of changing of uniforms. But it just didn't work out. Back in the early 90s was really where we started to see separation of markets, the old large market, small market. And it just became pretty clear that Milwaukee was in a position where they weren't able to retain me. Toronto stepped forward. And it turned out to be, a fantastic move because we, got to experience that World Series my first year having left the Brewers. But yeah, the DH thing, it kept me around the game a long time. I was able to accomplish some things maybe that I wouldn't have otherwise. So I'm grateful that it was part of the game and I could serve in that role.
Do you have an opinion on it? Seems like that's what the league is discussing right now with the NL. I mean, on one hand, the DH elongates great careers like yours and Edgar Martinez, swings that I want to see. And on the other side, you lose a little bit of strategy in the game. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, it certainly has helped a lot of players, Edgar, David Ortiz, people like that. If you would have asked me 25 years ago, I would have said the National League would never consider it. I thought they had too many owners that were kind of dug into the old school. And I didn't mind it when one league had it and the other one didn't. It caused a little bit of confusion or at least points of contention regarding postseason. But now if I had to guess, I would say that the National League implementing the DH is much more real in terms of possibilities. We saw what happened during the COVID season, and it worked out pretty well. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets mixed in where it becomes universal.
Well, Paul Molitor, I was really looking over your career, and I knew you were a base stealer, but far more bags than I remembered as a kid. And I got to think, if someone like Rickey Henderson didn't exist, your aura would be talked about even more. Like if you played today and you were ripping the amount of bags that you did. Yeah. But I noticed you stole home quite a bit. So if you could walk us through, if you're on third base, what are you looking for to decide, am I going or not?
Yeah, I guess my response to that in general terms would be that the base stealing is less critical in terms of today's game. I think people will try to make they value the 27 outs too much that they don't want to give them away on the base pass. But I was given the opportunity to have a green light, and I love to run the bases. I still think it's one of the more exciting parts of the game that we're losing a little bit. And the first time I tried to steal home, I had to convince my third base coach that it was the right move. And, I was successful, so I was able to do it a few more times after that. But it's an exciting play, man. When you're watching and you're just trying to anticipate, you get that pitcher that's got a little bit of a long windup and you get a walking lead. And then it's kind of a race to the plate to just try to beat the ball. I do remember one time in the Metrodome when I stole home, and I actually had to slow down because I didn't want to get hit by the pitch. And I still was. I was slow down, safe, but I had such a good jump that I probably beat the ball to the plate probably by about 10 feet.
Did you guys just hear that? He stole home. He had to slow down because he didn't want to get. Did you see the World Series a couple years ago when the Ray player got thrown out at home trying to steal on Kershaw? Did you see that play?
Yeah, I did. And that's one of those things where it looked like he had been measuring it up, and that's kind of the way to do it. You can put a stopwatch on the windup or whatever you got to do. But there's so much reaction from your other defensive players, the crowd. A pitcher actually has a chance to speed up and maybe do something. And as long as he doesn't balk and do something that's totally illegal, he has a chance to speed up. And Kershaw made a nice adjustment. And it was a heck of a play, though. But I love that kind of baseball, I must say.
I miss it, too. Again, we're here live with Paul Molitor and Daniel Jacob Horan of Popfly Pop Shop. Go to popflypopshop.com. This is only available until Sunday, and then it is retired forever, and you're forced to pay exorbitant secondhand prices. Something that Daniel mentioned that he really loved about your career, he's a story guy, is how you go to the Twins, your hometown, at the end of your career. How much of that was maybe intentional? Did you want to go there, or did it just kind of work out organically?
I don't want to get too long-winded on that. I was turning 40 in the year that I left Toronto, and I never thought that if I played for the Twins, it was going to be at that stage of my career. But I always had a passion for the Twins, following them as a kid. For your older fans, the Harmon Killebrews and Tony Olivas and Rod Carews of the world. And when I talked to Tom Kelly, who was the manager at the time, they really thought they had a chance to get back into being a World Series contender. I love the idea of playing for the Twins. I love the idea of having Kirby Puckett as a teammate. and obviously returning home where my family could just pop in the car and head down to the old Metrodome. So many things about it seemed right. Unfortunately, you know, Kirby had to retire that spring with glaucoma. We never really got on track. We had a decent year that year, but the experience of playing for the Twins after growing up in the area, up here in the Twin Cities, it was a really nice way to finish up my playing days.
Thank you for sharing that. Daniel, is there a fan question that has stood out to you that you want to share?
There is. There's one from George here, and I'll show it in a second. But he asked two questions, but the second half of his question I really like. I'd like to dive into. So he's saying his earliest memories watching the World Series in '82. What was that series like? But here's the question I'm really interested in. Had the game changed a lot by your 1993 series with Toronto? And it's interesting to me just because we know the game has changed now with analytics, but my mind is not really thinking how did the game change from 82 to 93. So I'd love to hear from Paul.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think we all know the drastic changes that the game has undertaken over the past 5, 10, 15 years, the analytics invasion, and now just as we watch and how it's just aesthetically different to watch a baseball game. I think in '82, my short answer would be that I was a relatively young player. It was a great experience getting to the World Series. We ended up losing in 7 to Ozzie Smith and the Cardinals, and it was tough to swallow, but I thought I'd get a lot of opportunities. I didn't think I'd have to wait 11 more years to get back there. But I would say that generation of baseball didn't have the dramatic changes that we've seen in recent years. Pretty much the same approach. The guys that were valued that could get on base and run the bases. Offense came a little bit more split in terms of power and just being able to get a 2-out RBI. So I don't think there was a ton of change between those 11 years. Not nearly as much as we've seen, for example, the last 11 years.
Wow. Great question and great insight of bookend World Series there. Mr. Paul Molitor, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your entertaining us with your swing and your legs and your career. Thank you for being willing to autograph these. So buy one by this Sunday if you want him to autograph it. Mr. Molitor, thank you so much for everything.
Hey, man, you did a great job of hosting. It's been a pleasure being with you guys.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mr.
be well.
Paul Molitor, Hall of Famer.
Take care.
Woo! He said we did good. All right. I feel like I always need to decompress immediately after. Anyway, if you could show that print one more time.
Sure.
So this is the Igniter. You have Paul Molitor. I love that he personally interacted with the rope here and what he's doing. And I like how the story has come out. So he is about to blow up another team right now. And for his team, he's the hero. Maybe for every other team, he is the villain. How did you choose to do two major Brewers 2 and 3 weeks essentially?
The time, it wasn't intentional. It just sort of worked out. The opportunity arose, and like I had said, I've been working on this long before I got connected with Mr. Molitor, and when the opportunity came, I'm like, great, I got something for you right here, and I've been thinking about it in this way for a while, and my interpretation of this is there's obviously him with the bat, and then there's that rope is just a long fuse to that beer barrel / TNT barrel. So he's ready to. I'm seeing him maybe kneeling down at home plate, maybe about to explode into a late inning rally.
Nice. Was there any thought process on being a Brewer? You've done Julio Franco last week. He wasn't on any team at all, which his career was a lot different. But were you a Brewer right from the beginning, the whole design process?
For me, it was, and it kind of speaks to, well, his time in the Brewers sure was longer, and just my association with him, my peak baseball interest was Paul on the Brewers. So that's what made sense to me. That's the story I wanted to tell. Plus, the motif of that beer barrel / TNT would not work so well if it was the Twins. So it's sort of like a Paul Molitor and Brewer's piece as well, because it really wouldn't work if he wasn't a brewer here.
Milwaukee. What does that mean?
I think it's Algonquin for the good land, Evan.
Wayne's World joke there for all you out there. Yeah, so man, Brewers fans getting hooked up. There's like Rocky fans out there like, hey, what about us? We're doing 2 Brewers in 3 weeks.
Look out for the Dale Murphy Rockies piece coming up.
Paul Molitor referenced his time on the Twins with Rod Carew there, and so a couple other things that could lead into. We saw the Toronto reference. Is there any Twins nod on the cover at all? I didn't see any.
Not here. That was a little harder of a reference to put in here.
But speaking of the Twins, he mentioned playing with Rod Carew, who you've had some online interactions with, and I saw a fist bump. I read into that what I will. What's going on there?
Full disclosure, I've been absolutely want to work with Rod Carew for a long time, and just recently got on his radar, and so having some phone calls and hoping we'll see a Rod Carew pop fly before too long.
All right, awesome. Well, this is again, go to popflypopshop.com. This is only available until Sunday. Then it is retired forever. There's an autograph option, which it's there. Take it. That's what I always say. Trust me, you'll regret it later. Get the Hall of Famer autograph on here. Any other, I know it's Christmas coming up. Is there a break coming for Popfly? Are you doing something next week?
Planning on going next week. No break planned. There is something new for us. We do have a Popfly Pop Shop gift card. So if you're a last minute gift giver like me, that might be right up your alley. So it's on the site. If you go to popflypopshop.com, scroll to the bottom, there is a couple different denominations of a gift card.
So how does that work? Like if I think my wife is listening, so Crystal needs to get me one more present, I think, just to round out Christmas, and she wants to get me a gift card. How does that work? How does she buy it, and how do I redeem it?
Just like you'd purchase a print, you can go in there and choose your denomination of the card, and I believe you'll get a code linked to that card.
And then that's only used for further upcoming releases.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you hear that, everyone? Go to popflypopshop.com. You can get this wonderful art, this piece until Sunday. You can get it autographed. There's some gift card options. Are the Jock Peterson stickers, are those sold out?
Those are long gone.
Oh, you guys slept on it. So let's see what happens. Anything else, Daniel, you'd like to share with your audience before we transition into the break?
Just I appreciate everyone just following along on the journey. Super grateful to Paul for being up to doing a piece that's a little bit off the beaten path. So I'm just very, very grateful for everyone in this support and just following along on this journey.
Thank you for letting me run along and chase you on your journey. Everyone, thanks for joining us today on this Tuesday early morning. Grab one of these prints. You will regret it if you don't. Have a great break, and we'll see you next week maybe.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.